$2 billion were spent in US arcades in 1991. One of the most popular games was called Terminator 2: Judgment Day. 2 years later it was released for home consoles. Those that played it faced a new nightmare. At least it was a nightmare for those that played it with a control pad. The game was designed for a light gun, and a standard controller is just not up to the task. Your standard weapon is a machine gun. It has infinite ammo, but if you use it too much it will overheat, and the rate of fire will slow way down. Your secondary weapon is either a rocket launcher or a shotgun, depending on the mission. Both have limited ammunition and are only effective against certain targets. There are also power-ups scattered around that temporarily improve your weapons or give you more life. In addition to levels where you have to blast everything that moves, the game attempts to provide a bit of variety, like the level where you blast everything that doesn't move, in addition to things that do move. Okay, bad example. But they did get creative with the T-1000 fight, and there are escort missions as well. More about those later. There are a few problems with the game design. Sometimes a level will stop progressing and just throw wave after wave of enemies at you for what feels like several minutes. The heads-up display sometimes obscures your vision, and occasionally some boss enemies don't seem to register that they are being hit. Don't bother playing this game with a gamepad. They are just too slow and cumbersome for this kind of game. I only got a chance to play the first few levels using the Super Scope, but the game was just as fun as I remember it being in the arcade when I used it. At least, once I got the darn thing properly calibrated. Unfortunately, T2 only supports one Super Scope while playing. It does, however, support the SNES mouse, which, while I didn't get a chance to try out, I imagine that it is a fair alternative to the light gun. The arcade game uses digitized graphics of the actual movie actors, props, and locations, so everything looks very authentic. The graphics aren't quite at the level of the real arcade version, but they come pretty close, and the Super Nintendo is handling a lot of large sprites at once without any slowdown. T2 is a bit of a letdown in the sound department. There are some nice voice clips, and the explosions are decent, but the guns sound kind of weak, and everything sounds muffled. There isn't any music from the movie, which is pretty disappointing. There are a couple good music tracks, but there are a couple bad ones too, and the game uses those a lot more than the good ones. The regular shooting levels are pretty fair with their difficulty. You are given 5 lives and plenty of hit points. The problem lies with the 2 escort stages. The first has you defending a pickup from flying hunter killers, while T-800s attack you. The HKs shoot the truck almost as soon as they appear on screen, so you pretty much have to be firing at it before you can see it. And since there is no way to know which side of the screen they will appear from, you just have to guess. This renders it virtually impossible to beat for a single player. With 2 players you can cover both sides of the screen, but even then it is going to take a few tries. In the second escort mission, you defend the SWAT team van from the T-1000. The area you have to defend is much smaller, but the van will be destroyed by a single hit. A major aspect of the movie was that the good guys do not kill people, that human life is sacred. This adaptation throws that notion out the window. Sure, the game penalizes you if you shoot the people that are on your side, but once you go back to 1995, you are killing a ton of SWAT team members, scientists, and even still workers. The game pretends that you are merely immobilizing them, but come on, you are not sending these people to the ER. You are sending them to the morgue. These aren't even really bad guys. These are police officers that are trying to stop people that they believe are terrorists, including one that went on a killing spree in 1984. Also, Why are the scientists and steelworkers attacking you? Why do the steelworkers even have machine guns? And why are all the infiltrator units the same model? Shouldn't some of them look different? Human deaths are frequent, but none of them are graphic. Some Terminators are seen with damaged skin, but there isn't any blood. If you have a Super Scope or a SNES mouse, then T2, the arcade game, might be worth your time. Like I said, I did not get to play through the whole game with the Super Scope, but if you are using a gamepad, then you might as well just throw this cartridge in a vat of molten steel.